I knew I would forget something. The third track, You and Me, actually dates back to 71, to the Harvest era, and then Neil brought it back for Harvest Moon so appropriately. So, yeah, I knew I was going to forget something. But, anyways, all right, on to my lavish praise of this 1992 Neil Young album. What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, continuing my deep dive into Neil Young's studio catalog. Today, I will be discussing 1992's Harvest Moon, his follow up to the godfather of grunge, declaring his bona fides, Ragged Glory into the Weld Arc Live albums. And then we have this a callback to an early 70s country, folky, acousticy Harvest. We got Harvest Moon, probably to my ears the greatest grower, the greatest slow burn, the greatest, this isn't what I wanted after Arkweld, but now, what, 32 years later, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely love this album. A lot of conceptual continuity. For you non-Zappa fans, conceptual continuity is the idea that sort of an extension, the big note that there are things in an artist catalog, specifically Frank Zappa came up with it, that all kind of tie together and reference each other. And ultimately everything is part of one big note, kind of conflicting ideas that kind of share the same DNA. A lot of conceptual continuity on this album, whether it was intentional or not. I don't care. I'm acting like it was intentional. The title, obviously, Harvest, Harvest Moon. They're both very folky, very acousticy. There's an undercurrent of country, especially with that sort of pedal steel guitar. The country's not there, like in your face, but the more you listen to it, the more you're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, I like that. That's nice. It is after Ragged Glory, after the chaotic noise burst of Freedom, even going back to the stuff he was doing with like Midi's Vacation with the noisy stuff. This is not that. This is back to the gentle, calming, just really wrap yourself in a warm blanket, feel good Neil. That's one conceptual continuity. The opening song, Unknown Legend. She's riding a motorcycle in the desert or something along those lines. Is This Motorcycle Mama? 70s song. What else? You and Me. References an old man. The opening part sounds like a combination of Bob Dylan's Tangled Up in Blue, the early versions of that you can get on like not the officially released album, but those alternate takes with that. We get like what sounds like those opening chords to Tangled Up in Blue into what sounds a little bit like Old Man. And then we get references to an old man harkening back to Harvest. So we got that conceptual continuity. We have, what else was on there? The song Old King uses a banjo. There's another song he has which uses a banjo. Elvis is the old king. It was his dog. He passed away. We got the conceptual continuity of Elvis's Bark was featured prominently in one of those early 80 sort of garage rock tours that Frank did. Dreaming Man, he talks about ancient civilizations and sort of finding inspiration and a reason to live and a reason to appreciate now in ancient civilizations. Cortez, Pocahontas, Neil's well-documented love affair with like Native Americans, both South and North. Natural Beauty, Neil dropping a live track on an album, an acoustic live track on an album, an epic long acoustic live track on an album, and there's a mention to Cowgirls on there. So yeah, like maybe they're in the sand. I don't know. He doesn't say. But yeah, it just feels like, oh, also there's a song on here called One of These Days, which is one of those like, one of these days I'm going to write a long letter to all those people like in my past. I never meant to burn any bridges, but maybe I unfortunately did. I want to thank all these people, the people who are playing the fiddles and the people who are rocking hard with me. Another sort of Neil Young thread of looking to the past and sort of either showing appreciation or acknowledgement or addressing his own past. Like, it really seems like this really almost, I don't know. There is something really special about this album. And I think lyrically, musically, it obviously feels like one of those, not obviously, but it feels like one of those timeless Neil acoustic albums where this could have been released as the follow up to Harvest back in the day. This could be released now. This is just a timeless album. And lyrically, you just have so many sort of Neil sort of like benchmarks that we hit throughout it. I don't know. It just makes it an even more timeless feeling album. Plus, you have a song on here like One of These Days, which popped up originally back in like the mid 80s. That you can hear it on summer songs. So you just have these songs that like have been around. They're coming back. They're popping up. It's just, I don't know, from start to finish, this is just, I think, an absolutely, absolutely fantastic listen. But it is acoustic. It is folky. There is a country undercurrent to it. If I have a complaint, and it really is only one, is there is a lack of complete immediacy, I think, in the production. It's not bad. It's in no way like this came out in 92. No way am I listening to this going, oh my God, the 90s, the 80s are still here. The 90s sound is bad. But there is almost this like production sheen on it that just seems to rob it a little bit of its like warmth and immediacy, only slightly. Not enough for me not to absolutely love this album, but enough to be like, I wish it was all like recorded live, just in a studio with a bunch of acoustic musicians and then not like cleaned up. Just, I wish it was a little raw. My only complaint. Opens up with Unknown Legend. She was an unknown legend in her time. He used to order food from her just to watch her dance across the floor. I always wondered in my mind, I'm like, is this the Danville girl? Is this the waitress from that Bob Dylan song? Like maybe this is the same girl. They both went to that same cafe and took orders from the same woman. That would be kind of cool. From Hank to Hendrix is one of those where we're looking back from Hank to Hendrix, from Marilyn to Madonna. Not my favorite lyrics on here. I don't like the from Hank to Hendrix thing, but I do like the second verse when he's like, from Marilyn to Madonna, and now like our marriage is falling apart. And so he takes this sort of, I don't know, generic cultural landmarks that even Billy Joel references and makes them deeply personal about a marriage falling apart. And it just gives it a little more oomph, a little, oh, okay, that now this song got a little more deeper. I just wish it got deeper sooner. You and Me, about that old man, really cool vibe, really just nice acoustic. This is one of those I just wish it was just him and a guitar, nothing else. I just would be magical on the album, but really not complaining otherwise. The title track, Harvest Moon, which I absolutely love. It is just so comforting. It reminds me of something you would hear on like Saturday Night Live. They do skits in which they do like a sort of not Ed Sullivan, a Lawrence Welk type vibe, and the song's all, it's not really a waltz, but it almost feels like you want to just stroll out to it. Like, you're just like walking all happy. And they do these skits where you have all these happy people. And then what's her name? Kristen Wiig will have that girl with the weird hand. This sounds like one of those, just like everybody's happy. Everybody's in a good mood. It is such a good song. And it is such a good song. I just absolutely love Harvest Moon. War of Man, which seems like I think it was around before this, if I'm not mistaken, and even had a different name for a while. But it seems like it has to be on here as a response to the Gulf War. Neil Young's 91 tour was definitely influenced by his reaction to the Gulf War and inclusion of like Bob Dylan's Blowing in the Wind. So I definitely think there's some sort of like, there's a reason that's on here. It grounds it a little more in like reality, America. One of these days, I'm going to write a letter to all those people. This dates back to at least 87. It was on Summer Songs. Great, great track. I love the melody of One of These Days. Just absolutely just gets me every time. He's going to write a long letter to all those people. Absolutely fantastic. Probably my least favorite song on here, Such a Woman. I think that's what it's called, right? Such a Woman. Has a string thing. I don't think the melody is all that strong. It's the one song that doesn't immediately like catch me. It's 4.5 minutes long. I always thought it was shorter. It definitely doesn't feel like a long 4.5 minutes. I just think probably the least interesting thing on here. It's going for more of like a moodier type. You got strings, a little more like melancholy type vibe. It's the one thing that just doesn't immediately catch me, but it's after one of these days, so I'm already in a good mood. And then after this is Old King, and that banjo comes in, and yeah, I love the banjo. It works perfectly, dropping like 2/3 through the album. It absolutely varies sort of the musical landscape at the right time, in the right way. Absolutely amazing. It's a song about his dog who passed away, who apparently had to kick once when he was bad. I don't condone that. I condemn it. Don't kick your dog. I don't care how bad he was. Unless he was trying to bite you and you had to defend yourself, maybe. Don't be kicking your dogs, people. Dreamin' Man, in which he realizes that he's a dreaming man. I think that's very much in line with who Neil is. And the line about just finding inspiration in ancient civilizations, which is like well documented in Neil's entire musical career, that conceptual continuity thread there. And then the final song, Natural Beauty, recorded live in 92. Where was it? In Oregon. Just this really nice long acoustic, really nice sort of like, I think there's a weird like keyboard like motif that keeps repeating in the back, and there's just kind of like sound effects and stuff. It's a really, really nice atmosphere, but it's just one of those slow, patient, lots of lyrics, just like sit back and let Neil like weave a tapestry of like images and lyrics, and just like just mesmerizing, just absolutely mesmerizing. It's what, 9.5 minutes long, 10.5 minutes long. A fantastic album. I absolutely love this. When it came out in 92, I did not start being like, I have to get the new Neil album until I went to college. So I had Freedom, then Ragged Glory, then Wild Ark. So I had these like really intense, noisy, in your face, Sonic Youth influence type things. When this came out, I was disappointed. I don't think I had yet understood that this is a normal Neil thing to have these wild pendulum swings. And it's not like, hey, that wild Sonic Youth period is over. I think at the time I was like, oh, now we're on to this. Now I understand in hindsight that, oh yeah, that doesn't mean anything. He might be doing like a spoken word cabaret jazz album next, and it would make complete sense to Neil. But now, what is this, 23 years later, 33 years later, when I'm 33 years older, I absolutely love this album. It is fantastic. Where would I rank the songs? If I had to rank the songs on here, I would rank them like that. Wait, I had my list up and then it disappeared. So yeah, I have Natural Beauty at number 1. I think that's obviously my favorite. I like the long diatribes. I like the vibe of this. It just feels good. The title track just gets me every time. One of these days, Unknown Legend. Such a Woman, really the only one that I'm just like, I just kind of go through with Such a Woman. Everything else on here, I really enjoy. Old King is fun. It's a throwaway track, but it's like, you know, the middle of the second half of the album, so perfect. I do think, I mean, if you look at the list, the first half I think is stronger than the second half. Songs 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all from side A. So I do think that is the stronger side of the album. But the momentum is strong that if you're listening to it in like a CD, you easily can make it through side 2 because those aren't bad songs. And you know at the end, sort of the holy grail of Natural Beauty is waiting for you. So that's fantastic. And then where would I rank it? Because out of all these albums, you got to remember, this is a Neil Young catalog, people. There is 12 through 28. American Stars and Bars has been knocked down to 12. It was comfortably sitting at 11 for a while, which means Harvest Moon is somewhere above number 12. I like it better than Ragged Glory. I think my main complaint with Ragged Glory, as much as I absolutely love that album, is I think a couple of the longer songs, the melodic hooks, were just kind of lacking. As much as I appreciate the guitar indulgence, I wanted a little more melody. And so, if we go to the top 11, Harvest Moon is number 11. When I did After the Gold Rush, I knew that would be a controversial one because I did not have it at number 1, even at that time, obviously, if you can see this list. Was it ever? No, it was never at number 1 because everybody knows This Is Nowhere was above it. But yeah, After the Gold Rush, it's in number 10. I did say back then that I was pretty confident it was going to stay in the top 10. And I kind of went back and forth for a while, but I do think it's a stronger album than Harvest Moon. But like, there's not a bad album in this top 11. Like, these are all like S tier, S plus tier efforts. Neil is ridiculously talented, and these are all ridiculously great albums. But as far as my own personal preference go, Harvest Moon just sits right outside that top 10, right there at number 11. But it is a fantastic album. All right, people, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. I was super excited to finally get to this. I don't know why. This is probably the one album that over the course of time has grown and grown and grown in my heart more than any other. And revisiting it this week just feels like a warm, comfortable blanket. I've had this horrible eye affliction, and this has brought me calm. This has brought me joy. This has brought me comfort. This album has made me very, very happy. Music is powerful. Music is amazing. It's why I do this channel, to spread the love of music. And this is one of those albums that has just made a difference in my life as recently as like this morning on my way to work, to be able to listen to this album and knowing I got teaching a bunch of kindergarten kids, wearing a patch on my eye I got a bunch of different eyes. I cut out a picture of Mad Eye Moody's eye from Harry Potter, so I had that on today. Kids love that. Had a dragon eye the other day. But music, it's great. I love music. That's why I'm doing this. It's absolutely fantastic. But anyways, yeah, I'm rambling. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Give me your thoughts on this album, why you like it, why you don't, what I messed up on, what I was wrong about, all that kind of stuff. Love to read your comments. And that's all I got for now. Thanks. Peace. Talk to you later.